Hey you, it's me, Curtis P. Well, ever since launch almost 3 years ago, I have been rocking the Apple Watch. I'm a really big fan of it, but Samsung recently approached me to test out the Gear 3, and here are my thoughts. Now, before we jump into everything today, I do have to state that Samsung sent me both the Galaxy S7 and the Gear S3 to test out completely free. But keeping that in mind, I'm not going to let it affect the way that I actually see the product. This is literally how I see it as I wore for the past 2 weeks. So take it as you will. Samsung did provide the products for completely free. So now I'm not really a newcomer to the smartwatch world. Before the Apple Watch, I used to wear a Pebble. It was probably the smartwatch that kicked off the entire smartwatch revolution. So when I moved to the Apple Watch, it just sort of made sense because I was an iPhone user. But in the past couple of years, Samsung has been doing an awesome job of upgrading their products, so when I had the chance to check this out, I was like, yes, let's totally check this out. The first thing I want to say right out of the bat, I love the way this watch looks. The shape is awesome. Watches should be circular. It's just the way everything should be. Square just doesn't work. This looks like a piece of tech on my wrist. This looks like a watch that also happens to be a piece of tech. Little bit of a difference. Tech first, watch first. And it's not just me thinking that. A lot of other people have said that as well. I've been wearing this around work. People have commented saying, this looks like a watch. I wouldn't even know it's a smartwatch. This, on the other hand, everyone knows it's an Apple Watch because it looks like kind of like a phone on my wrist. That's the first thing right out of the bat. I know it's not like a techie related thing, but it's a watch. It's something you're going to be wearing every day. This just looks like a watch. It's really nice. You can change out the bands if you want for regular watch bands, which is a big plus. And the overall design of this thing is awesome. I love the ring. The ring is amazing. It is a super simplistic way to move around the user interface on this watch. I love it. I found myself just like playing with it out of whim. If I'm sitting there at work and I'm kind of bored, I'll just like swing around on the actual ring and just be like, oh, I wonder what's going on these different widgets. Maybe you even want to check your daily calorie count, your step count, and all that other fun stuff right on the watch face, and of course you can also get access to notifications. Talking about the watch faces themselves, super nice. I love them. I found this sort of modern, very simplistic watch face. I really like it because, again, it looks like a regular watch face, but it also has a little complication for weather, and it has a little date complication built right in. I really don't need anything more on my watch face, at least for me. Turning back to my Apple Watch, I usually have my activity rings, I have my OmniFocus list, and I also have my weather. But overall, if I'm going to pick two things, it's going to be my weather and my date. Those are the two things. I look at my watch all the time and I'm like, I wonder what the weather is like outside. Beyond that, I'm not a really big fan of using apps on any smartwatch platform. I hardly ever launch apps on my Apple Watch because they're just annoying to use. As for the Gear 3, I actually like the interface to scroll through apps a lot better than the Apple Watch. You just hit the home button on the side, and then you can use the ring to scroll around through different apps. It's super useful, and when you find an app you want, you can just tap the center of the screen and you can launch that app. To get back home, you just hit the home button, bada bing, bada boom, you're back home. It's a really nice paradigm. It's super simple to operate, unlike the Apple Watch, which sometimes, even though I've been wearing it for almost 3 years, I still get confused as to like where the hell I am within the OS. It's just not that intuitive, at least in my mind. Because not only can the home button bring you back to the app screen, but then you have to hit the home button again to bring you to the clock, which is something Samsung just doesn't do, because once you're in an app, you just hit the home button, bada bing, bada boom, you're back home, because that's where I want to be when I hit the home button. Super simple. But again, the watch faces are super nice. If you don't like this one, there are tons of different options. You can just hold, press and hold, select one of the many different options available that are built right into the watch, or you can launch the Gear app on your Samsung related device, and then you can download a number of different watch faces. Keeping in mind that the Gear S3 doesn't run Android Wear like that operating system, it runs Samsung's own Tizen operating system. Now, does that really matter in the grand scheme of things? Maybe if you want an Android Wear watch, but again, for me, as someone who just put the watch on and started using it, I never even noticed. And it's something I don't think you really have to worry about. Yes, there might not be certain apps that are available for it, but again, at the end of the day, as a regular smartwatch user, I don't really care about apps on my smartwatch. I want like super simple little things, and that's it. If I want to run an app, I'm going to run it on my phone because it's kind of awkward to run apps on a smartwatch just like this. Simple things like booking an Uber or checking the weather or even talking to Siri or the Android assistant, those are great things to have on the watch. Otherwise, I'm just going to use the actual phone. But again, that's my personal opinion. Lots of other people enjoy using watch apps. It's just not something I use every day. Now, the next big topic I really want to touch on is a big one because there is a huge difference between the Apple Watch and the Gear S3. And that topic is battery life, because the Apple Watch It really only gets like a day and a half if you don't really use it. The Gear S3, I got like 3, close to 4 days on a single charge. It's crazy how long the battery lasts in this thing. It's fantastic. It was something I was a little skeptical about when I first got the watch because Samsung was like, yeah, this is gonna last like 2 to 3 days on a single charge. And I was like, I don't think so. That seems a little ridiculous. But after using it for a bit, I was like, yeah, you know what? This is crazy. It lasts forever. It's awesome because then when you go away for the weekend or you're doing something else, or maybe you stay overnight somewhere and you're like, oh shoot, I forgot my charger for my watch, you don't have to worry about it because the Samsung is just gonna keep working. Now, I charged both of these watches last night. I took them off the charger at around the same time, which is around 7 o'clock this morning, and I'm recording this right now at about 9:30 at night. So it's been a number of hours, a full day between taking them off the charger and now using them. The Samsung Gear S3 has 87% battery life on it right now, which is crazy, as the iPhone currently has 47%. So literally almost double the battery life still remaining on this watch, which is crazy because they've both been doing the same thing. I have both phones set up with all of the same notifications, all of the same whatnot. Both of these watches connect to Wi-Fi networks and have been doing so and got all the same notifications. Again, I talked about this in the past. I use weather a lot on the watch itself. Some other apps that I found that were really useful, S-Health was a big one, as I enjoy running every once in a while. I don't do it every day. I probably should do it more often, but when I go out running, I love to track my health just because it's cool to have all that data. On the Apple Watch, obviously there's a bunch of different activities and activity tracking that's built right into it that syncs back to the iPhone. Well, the Gear S3 has a similar thing. It has S-Health, which is built right into the phone and built right within the watch. The app on the watch is really nice, and I love the way it sort of lays out your activity throughout the day in this sort of circular fashion. It's kind of a fun thing to do with the circular display. It shows where you were active and you were not active, which is kind of nice. The watch also will tap you every once in a while, telling you to get up because you've been sitting for too long, which is kind of a nice thing. The Apple Watch does the same thing. It's nice to just be reminded to maybe get up every once in a while and walk around. Do a little bit of activity. It'll help you out in the long run. There's also a daily step counter, which is easy to get to. On the Apple Watch, it's a little harder to dive in and find your steps, which is kind of annoying. The Gear S3 will also track the number of floors you've walked up throughout the day, which is a really nice thing. It's again, just like a motivational thing. You can see it and you're like, maybe I can do more floors this day. I don't know. Again, it's just motivating you to be more active in the long run. There's also a ton of different workout options built within the watch. And one thing, this was one thing that really surprised me, and it was so simple, but it was so good all around. When you're out and you're walking in the park and you're doing an activity and you stop and you just you're checking your phone or whatever else, the Gear S3 will actually pause the activity. Then when you start walking again or moving again, it will restart the activity just as you were before. The Apple Watch doesn't do that. It just keeps running and just thinks you're not moving, which is kind of annoying if you're trying to do like a lap-based thing or like a time-based activity. The Gear S3 is just gonna stop and start automatically. The Apple Watch, you have to slide in, hit some buttons. It's kind of annoying. It's not really the best thing in the world, and it's just like a simple, small little thing, but I was like, wow, that's really cool, super impressive. Now let's move on to the cons, because there are always going to be cons with every single piece of tech. The one big thing that I kind of noted is the heart rate monitor on this. It's pretty small. I wish it was way bigger. The Apple Watch has a huge heart rate monitor in the back of it, and it has been highly rated to be really accurate. So I compared the heart rates between the two of them, and this one was not as close as I would have liked. Now, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it could be better. Something to improve for the next version, I guess. The next thing to point out, it is a little big, unfortunately. I wish there was slightly a smaller version. This is the biggest version of the Apple Watch that you can currently buy, and comparing the two of them, this is significantly larger. Now, is that a bad thing? No, because again, it looks like a watch on my wrist, which is not a bad thing, but if there was a slightly smaller version, that would be better. At first, I thought it was a little heavy as well compared to the Apple Watch, but I have gotten used to that. So again, I think it's just a thing about wearing a watch over time. You just get used to the weight on your wrist, so might be not a great thing for some people, but overall, I got used to it, but for the first week, I was like, this thing is really heavy on my wrist, but you get used to it over time. And the last thing is voice during workouts. The watch will actually kind of talk to you and try to encourage you throughout your workout, which didn't really work for me because I always had headphones in. So every once in a while, as I was just jogging along, the watch would just be like, you're doing great. But I'm like, what are you saying? I can't hear you. So it's kind of an annoying thing. I don't know how to turn it off. I tried looking in the settings, but I couldn't figure it out. So it's kind of an annoying thing that she just kind of yells at you different stats about your run throughout your run, but whatever. It's like the little thing, but I did get startled by it once as I was walking, because it like automatically started a workout for me, which was interesting. I didn't know it could do that. And then it just started yelling different metrics at me. It was like, you're doing great. And I'm like, doing great at what? What am I doing? And I was like, oh, I guess I'm doing a walking workout right now. Cool. So it's just the little things, but overall, I actually really love this product. It works really well. It's super simple. And again, I know this isn't a techie related thing. I just think it looks good. It looks like a watch compared to the Apple Watch, which is like, I wish the Apple Watch was circular. After using this, I'm like, why is this thing square? It doesn't make any sense to me. But it's a great watch. I really enjoyed it. Now, I know this review is getting really freaking long, so I'm sorry about that. But overall, I love this thing. It worked really well. Paired with the Samsung S7 smartphone, which they sent me, it just worked great. I love the two of them. They're actually really nice. I'm not going to go in depth about the smartphone because that's not really what I'm here to review. But overall, simple things. Form factor, I love the form factor on this thing. It feels really nice. I don't know what it is in the hand. It just feels nice. It's like got a soft glass on it. I know that doesn't make any sense. It just feels nice. Android works really well. I was always a little skeptical about like Samsung skins on top of Android, but having used it for the past 2 weeks, actually really nice. I really liked it. And again, if you don't like the skin, you can just kind of reskin it, put a new launcher on it, and you're good to go. The always on display on the phone is a nice touch. I really like that. It's always displaying like notifications and the time. It's a cool added effect that can be done on the phone that doesn't drain the battery. And simple things like inside of the multitasking view, there's like a close all button. And inside of the camera on the phone, I love the fact you can download different like add-ons for the camera. It's like a super simple idea, but it's like awesome to see. There's only a couple downsides that I didn't like. The first thing, design-wise, can we get rid of the word Samsung on the top of the phone? I know you did it on the S8, so thank you. I don't know what took you so long to do that. I just think it just looks ugly. You can put it on the back, I don't care about that, but on the front of the phone, it just looks kind of nasty. And the other annoying thing that I found a lot was that the Samsung apps kept installing themselves on this phone. I think there's a way to turn it off, but I couldn't really figure out how to do it. So I felt like every day there was a new Samsung app being installed without my wanting it to be there. So kind of annoying, but overall I lived with it and I just deleted the app after it was done installing. So overall, I know this is a really long review, mostly about the watch, a little bit about the phone, but I actually really loved this. I think it was really nice. Apple needs to really step up their game with the watch because, you know what, I think it works well, but like, I would love to have this over this any day. And that's crazy because I've been an Apple fanboy for a large portion of my life. And like I said, I've been using this thing for almost 3 years. So it's kind of crazy to think that, hey, this one over here might actually be better. And overall, the two of them together, the Samsung phone and the Samsung watch, they just feel nicer than the iPhone and the Apple Watch. But again, this is just my opinion on using the product for the past 2 weeks. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think of the Gear S3 and the Samsung S7 smartphone? I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and of course subscribe to the channel as I'm working on releasing new videos just like this throughout the next couple of weeks. But until next time, I'm Paradis. Have a great day.